Hello, and welcome to my QTP video tutorial, where I will be showing you how to use an if-then else-if statement. In this video, I will be covering the following three topics. First, what is an if-then else-if statement? Second, what is a real-world example of how to use an if-then else-if statement? And third, how do I write the code to use it? As a reminder, to stay up to date with my latest videos, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button. This moves us to the first topic, which asks the question, what is an if-then else-if statement? An if-then else-then statement is used when you would like for something to happen if a condition is met, but if that condition is not met, you would like for something else to happen if a condition is met on that second choice instead. This moves us to the second topic, which asks the question, what is a real-world example of how to use an if-then else-if statement? Let's say you're taking a trip to the grocery store. When you get there, buy a can of green beans if they have them. However, if they don't have them, buy a can of corn instead if they have those. Now, let's put this into the format of an if-then else-if statement. And that would read as, if there is a can of green beans at the store, then buy them. Else, buy a can of corn if they have those instead. This moves us to the third topic, which asks the question, how do I write the code to use it? I'll now show you how to write the code in QTP for an if-then else-if statement based on the example that was shown in the previous slide. To begin our example, we'll create two variables. The first one will be green beans available, and I will assign it an initial value of yes. And then the second variable will be corn available, and I will also assign it a value of yes. We will use these two variables in our example to toggle whether or not green beans are available, either yes or no, and whether or not corn is available, yes or no. I'll then bump down a couple lines and create a message box that will state starting the shopping trip. And this will let us know that we're getting ready to come into the if statement that we'll be creating. For more information on message boxes and how to use those in your scripts, feel free to reference one of my other videos where I go into more information on those. I'll then bump down a line and type the word if, and then hit the space bar. When I do that, you'll notice that QTP automatically filled in some code for me. After the word if, it entered the word true. After that, it entered the word then. It then created an empty line on line 6. And then it filled in the words end if on line 7. So what QTP has done is went ahead and pre-filled in just the basic structure of how you would use an if-then statement. Where the word true is, that is the first conditional check that will take place in the if statement. Going back to our example, we had mentioned if green beans are available, then buy them. So that's the first conditional check that we need to make. So to do that, what I'll do is copy the code from line 1. I'll then overwrite that on top of the word true. So now the script would read on line 5 at least, if green beans available equals yes, then. So that's going to be the first conditional check that will be made. We're now ready to put in the code to make the second conditional check that will take place. So in our example, we had stated if a can of green beans is not available, but a can of corn is available, buy that instead. So to do this, on line 6, you need to type in the word else if, and that's all together one word. So it's ELSEIF, then hit the space bar. When you do that, you'll notice that QTP will automatically pre-fill in some code for you. It will put in the word true, and after that, the word then. And that's quite similar to the code that we had seen in line 5 after we initially typed in the word if and then hit the space bar. So where the word true is, that again is a conditional check. So our second conditional check is to see, is corn available? So what I'll do is copy in the code from line 2, and then overwrite the word true on line 6, so that when you've done that, it would say else if corn available equals yes, then. Now, we have both of our conditional checks in place. Now we need to put the code in for what should happen if either of those conditional checks actually happens. So to do this, what I'll do is click my mouse up on the end of line 5, then hit the Enter key, and then hit the Tab button just to bring the cursor over inside of the word if. Now we need to type in the code that we would like to execute if green beans available equals yes. So for this, we'll just create a message box and we'll say green beans available, so buy them. Once you've done that and you've typed in whatever code it is that you would like to execute, if green beans available equals yes, we now need to put in the code that we would like to have executed if the second conditional check happens. So we need to put the cursor at the end of line 7, then hit the Enter key to create a new line, then hit the Tab key to bring the cursor inside of the word Elseif. For this, we'll create a message box that will say green beans unavailable, but can of corn is, so buy it. So once you've done that, we can just click off of that. Now let's go back and review over what it is that we've typed in here with this if-then statement, if-then-else if statement. We first come in and say if green beans available equals yes, then create a message box that will say green beans available, so buy them. However, if green beans are not available, then come down and check to see is corn available. If corn available equals yes, then execute this message box that will say green beans unavailable, but can of corn is, so buy it. And then line 9 is our end if, which states that this is the end of the if-then statement. I'll then create a new line, which would be line 10, and just make a message box that says shopping trip over, just to let us know that we've now come out of the if-then statement. We're now ready to run our test. So what we'll find in this iteration is that since green beans available does indeed equal yes, which we've set that value here on line 1, we should see a message box that will appear that will say green beans available, so buy them. We now see the first message box which says starting the shopping trip. Now, as expected, we're presented with a message box that says green beans available, so buy them. And again, that's because we did a conditional check to see if green beans available equals yes, then execute that message box, and the green bean variable assignment was made here on line 1, which it is set to yes. So that validates that we received the proper result. So I'll just click through this, and then shopping trip over. Now, let's change the variable assignment on line 1 for green beans available from yes to no. By doing this, what we're going to do is first make a check to see is green beans available equals yes. It does not, it equals no. So then the second conditional check will take place to see if corn available equals yes. In our example, corn available does equal yes, as you can see here on line 2. So we would expect to see a message box that will read green beans unavailable, but buy a can of corn, but buy a can of corn because it is available. So go ahead and run the test now. We're starting the shopping trip. As expected, we're presented with a message box that says green beans unavailable, but can of corn is, so buy it. So we'll now click through this, and then shopping trip over, so we can click through that. Now, let's say neither green beans nor corn is available. So we'll emulate this by setting the corn available variable assignment to no. Now, what's going to happen? The first conditional check will take place and say if green beans available equals yes, which it will not, it equals no. Then come down and make the second conditional check, which says if corn available equals yes. Corn available does not equal yes, it also equals no. So what will happen is basically no code will be executed within this if-then statement since neither of those two conditional checks hit or were successful. So I'll go ahead and run this to show you that. As you can see, we're starting the shopping trip. And then shopping trip over. So it skipped over all the code execution for either of those conditional checks since neither of those hit. This now concludes our video where we've answered the following topics. First, what is an if-then else-if statement? Second, what is a real-world example of how to use an if-then else-if statement? And third, how do I write the code to use it? As a reminder, to stay up to date with my latest videos, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button. Thank you, and I hope that you have a great day.